あ、よし。よし。こんばんは。今日はね、PC ゲーの方だ。ザ・スタンリー・アラブルでいいのかな、読みのリメイクやっていこう。これね、何年だったっけど、確か13年とかに一回あったゲームなんだよね。これはスタンリーという男。早い。スタンリーは大きなビル会社で従業員番号427として働いていました。427の仕事は至って単純。部屋でデスクに向かいキーボードのボタンを押すだけです。指令は机のモニターを通して教えてくれる。はい、早いな。うん。今のも押す指示だったのかな。はい。人差し指でして。魂が引き下がれるようなスタンリーは指令が入っため楽しんでいました。この仕事をするために生まれてきたかのように。スタンリーは幸せでした。そしてある日なんだかとても奇妙なことが起きたので、スタンリーを永遠に変えてしまうような何かが。誰か決して忘れることでないあろう何かが。2時間です近くデスクに向かっていたのに、指令が一つも来てないことに気づきました。指令を出す人も会議を開く人も挨拶する人さえ誰もいません。入社して一度だってこんな完全な効率はありませんでした。明らかに何かが変だ。ショックで固まったスタンリーは長いこと身動きが取れなくなっていました。しかし、落ち着きを取り戻すとデスクを離れ彼の部屋を出ていきました。お、ちょっとカメラ感度が。このちょっと設定しながらね。このゲームは、ナレーションが、こう、スタンリーがどうしましたみたいな、スタンリーはこうしましたみたいなナレーションで指示をしてくれるんだけど、それに従っても従わなくてもストーリーを進んでいきますよっていうゲームなのよ。知ってる限りでは。まあそれをいろいろね、見ながらやっていきたい。スタンリーは会議室に向かうことにしました。早い。とりあえず今回はそのままその指示通りに進んで、どこ？会議室。でね、このゲームね、買ったのはね、もうほんと発売したばかりくらいで、左のドアに入りました。そう。でもその時ね、まだ日本語化されてなくて、1年くらい、去年の8月くらいに、7月ぐらいに出てたんだっけな。そう、買ってたんだけど、会議室に着いたね。誰もいませんでした。進化の波が押し寄せる中、上司のデスクに、オフィスに向かうことにしました。かがむとかもある。ジャンプはない。1年くらいね、待ってたんだよね、日本語化されるの。読めない。英語勉強しようかなってちょこちょこやってはいるけど、まだ読めないわ。FPS だけど、めちゃめちゃグリグリ動いちゃうから、酔ったら申し訳ないな。上の階。ここじゃない。随分と、シックっていうのこういうの。すごい、高級感があるね。すごいよな、こういうの。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his
上
boss
司
had
の
been
後ろにあ
stealing
る
from
キーパッ
him,
ド。上司
and so the boss had assigned it an extra
3 つの
secret
番号を割り
pin
当ててい
number,
ました。
2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
でも、今ナレーションのおかげ
By
で
simply pushing random
通れましたよ。
Stanley happened to input the correct code by
う
sheer
ん、すごいな。
easing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
まあまあまあまあ。まだ今回は変なことはしないでおこう。これ大丈夫？エレベーターあるんだよね、これね。ホラーゲームではないからね、今回のは。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley
サン
realized
リー
he
は少し
felt
奇妙な
a
感じがすることに気づきまし
It
た。
was a stirring of emotion in his chest,
胸の中
as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
はい？びっくりした。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large
マインド
door
コントロール
that
施
read
設と
Mind
書いて大きなドアを
Control
ます。
Facility.
抜けます。はい。とりあえずね。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Bueno.
Stanley thought to himself. Did he have
これも
the strength
なんかやる
to find
要
out?
素だったりするのかもしれない。これね、その、リメイク前のものをね、少し見たことはあるんだけど、さすがに覚えてないね。13年のゲームだとね。
Now the monitors
Oh.
jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally rooted in this place where freedom meant nothing.
うん。スタンリーはめちゃめちゃ監視されてたって、スタンリーの番号428だったよね。427だっけ？ 427か。もう一回番号移して。ここだ。まあ、なんか、暗いね。ねえ、これ。脱出？
This mind control facility
マインドコントロール施設、それを信じるには恐ろしすぎるものでした。
had Stanley
真実なわけ
really
が
under
ない。
someone's control all this
何は本当
time?
に誰かにコントロール
Was
さ
the
れていたのでしょう
seeming
か。
reason he was happy with his boring
幸せを
job,
感じて
that
いた
his
理由はこう、
emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to
彼は受け入れられ
He couldn't
ることがで
accept
きなかった。
his own life in someone else's
自分の人生を他人が操作していた？ありえない。ゾッとしますよね。そんなことが可能なのでしょうか。今ね、ちょっとメタ的な感じになってきたね。
Utterly blind to the world. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and
食べ
commanded
歩
from
くこと
this
た
very place.
感じさせていた過去の寒気がする現実を認識し始めると、
Stanley decided that this
何をこの機会に
machinery would
人
never again
々の人生を
exert its terrible
脅
power
かす
over another human
苦しい力を二度と
For
使わない。
he would
これを
dismantle the controls once
制御装置をこれっきりに
and
解
for
体するのです。どうやって？マインドコントロールステータスオフライン。どうやって解体するんだって？あっちに行けばいい、とりあえず。解体？とりあえず、それっぽい場所に進めば？なんか光ってるどうしたらいいんだ？解体。このまま進むとマインドコントロール、アイドルにアウェイティングインプット 英語力が。まあ待機中ってことだよね、多分ね、アイドルって言うと。とりあえず1から順に押していけばいい。3、3、3。あれは5。上にもあるな。ここ開く？開かない。階段上がれる？ライトとかはないもんね。あ、T 押した。E でもなんかできるのか。階段上がりたい。あれ？階段上がれない。じゃああのボタン押せないね。コンソール。これなんて読むんだっけな。まあいいや。あ、もうちょっとあそこ登れない以上順番通り押せないよね。あそこ3じゃないでしょ。まあ、3だとしても3じゃん。3だとしてもあそこ押せないから何もできないよな。今ので開いたりした？あれ何？見えない。開いてないもんね。いいか。行っちゃおう。ダッシュできないしね。うろうろするとちょっと時間かかる。やっぱ4押せだって、4押せない。行こう。さすがに端のやつはちっちゃくて読めない。ああ、文字になってはいるけど。あ、システムパワー。ああ、別にボタン押さなくても大丈夫そうね。これを象徴する全てを終わらせることができる。彼の義務。システムパワー。じゃあ、今回はオフで。はい。音でけえ。まあ、多分今回は、そのマインドコントロールの、まだあるんだ。そして不安で高まる恐怖心。終わった？やった。彼は勝ったのです。ちょっと音でかいね。少し下げようか、次。問題なければ続く。それはすぐそばにあったのです。あ、動きはする。スタンリーはまだたくさんなどは解き明かされてないことを思い出すのです。彼はどのようによそ見しているうちに字幕が進んでしまう。彼が差し込むと、彼はそんなことはどうでもいいことに気づきました。彼は知識や権力ではなく幸福を探していたのだから。おそらく彼の目的が理解することではなく手放すことだったのでしょう。もはや彼が誰からどこへ行けと言われる。これは彼のものなんです。そしてそれは彼が知る必要があった全てのことでした。それが多分知る価値のある唯一のことだったのです。あ、こんばんは。このゲームほんといろんなルートがあるからいろんな人の意見を聞きながらやりたい。あれ？ああ。勝手に進むね。スタンリーは肌を撫でる涼しい風や開放感、彼の目の前に広がる新しい道のとてつもない可能性を感じていました。これはまさしくたった今起こるべきして起きたことだったのです。これ読むのめちゃめちゃ大変なんだけどそしてスタンリーは幸せでした。これ読むのしんどいな。この後もどんどん変わるしね。まあ今回のルートはまあ解放されたっていうルートなんだけど、こっからまあじゃあいろいろな方向に進んでいこうか。さっきはこの指示通り会議室に進むってところからだった。そう。もうここからもうやり直し。まあ会議室に行く前にこういろいろ調べてから進んだりすることができる。 なんでこんな鉛筆削り、まあ時代が時代か。フファーテッド。日本語音声担当の負担がね。まあ英語の喋りに合わせて字幕も進んじゃうから、どんどん進んでっちゃうんだよね。まあ、いいか。会議室、あれここ、一応通りはしたか。電源切った。こうやって全部電源落としていくのもなんかあったりするのかな。あ、ウェイティングインプット。これあれじゃん。さっきの、なんだっけ。コントロール装置で見たあれと同じだけど。なんかできんのかな。あ、レシーブド。はい、なんか起きたけど、何が起きたけど、何をしてこうなったかがわかんないわ。まあいいや、進んじゃおうか。で、さっきのルートだと左の方のドアに入りましたっつうんだけど、今回はちょっと、抗っていこうか。まあこの道は正しくないことを知ってるけど、なんかこっち進んだねっていう。ん ?447。思いたたえる価値があります。この、まあ、関係ないけど、こういうなんか一段下がってる場所ってなんかちょっと好きなんだよな。なんかキッズスペース的な場所を思い出すよね。こういう、ちょっと一段下がってる場所。こういうところよくいたからな、昔は。最初の左のドアに入りました。入らねえ。何でもクビにならなかったのが信じられませんって。特別できることはないね、でもこの部屋で。さすがにこの間に合う距離じゃないか、扉が閉まるのに。でも今のなんかいけそうな気もするけどね、なんかあんのかな、そういうのも。飛び降りんな。はい。なんかお金の話されてる。英語読めないんだよな、あんま。なんかもうすごい砕けた話になってきた。いいと思いますが、この後ずっと他が誰でもなくあなたのものだったのです。あなたが気にも留めてこなかった誰かがいるんです。スタンリー、あなたが忘れてしまったです。お願いだから一人で決めようとしないで。もう、彼女とは、なんかナレーションがもうスタンリーに対してちょっと懇願してきてる。仕事を脇に置いて、彼女はあなたの人生取り戻せ。彼女待っていますよ。彼女って誰よ？彼女持ちなの、スタンリー。何をする？もう進むしかないもんね、今。こんな暗いところで大丈夫？落ちない？あ、闇に飲まれた。飲まれてない。彼女ですよ。 黙りな。抜いちゃった抜いちゃった。なんであれは選択できないはずなんだよ。日本語訳した人これセンスあるね。ちゃんと現代的だね。はいはい。エンディング。正しくない行動なのです。まあ普通だったらやんないでしょってちょっと思われてる。何やってんのもう。どういうこと？あなたは実在の人物なんです。あー、なるほどね。スタンリーだと思ってたけど、あなたは、まあ、トロコだってバレたわけだ。難しい話始めた。I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video. Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. 彼は食料不足を解消し、世界中の人々の生活をより良くする機会を発明するかもしれません。もしくは何年も働きすぎて読み方を忘れてしまうかもしれません。どっちのチョイスがいいですか？現実社会はこことは違い、論理的であることを、倫理だったわ。合理的倫理に、意味不明な会話をしていると感じたら、その人は実在していない人物である可能性が高いです。あ、そうなの？その人の考えが終わるまで待ち、なぜあなたが話し続けられないのかを弁解します。相手に合わせてこういう練習をするのです。なんてことだ、4時半。例の脱毛やんなきゃいけないんだった。脱毛？素晴らしい健全な意思決定をされるの方法です。多くの医療専門家は少なくともその選択を。あなたは8つ以上選択していますか？それとも最後にあなたが選択する意味があるのか、自分には世界に重要な貢献できるかどうか、歌が始めたら果てしない無限宇宙の中にあったあなたの考えや心配事など全く取りに足らないもとをただ思い出してください。ああ。そうすると、その気持ちは落ち着くでしょう。その際にはインストラクターが、そのビデオで取り上げた題材をテストして強化する指導をします。早い。なんか偉いことになってるぞ。うん。Now that you're properly informed on good decision making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please. だってこういうのすぐ登りたくなっちゃうんだけど、なんかいけそうでいけないな。いけそう。まあいいや。まあなんか好き勝手やりすぎだよお前みたいなことを言われた後に、なんかリフトの色変わってない？まあそっか、さっき好き勝手やったからもう死ぬんじゃねえかって思われてんだ。うん。なんならその現実と向き合うには筋が整っていないようです。まあ部外者だからまあさっさと帰ってくれよって言われてんのかな。はいはい。ああ、さすがに間に合わないね。ダッシュできないから。例えば時計ってどうなの？全然、いや、いや、合ってないね。うん。もう少しです。あなたは左 物語は再び解決し、あなたは現実の世界でうまくいくでしょう。まあ、さっきの会議室の方に戻ってくれやって言われてる。はい。あとはスタンリーと同じように振る舞えばいい。はいはい。うん。左側のドアに入っていった。どうしよっかな。どうしよう。とあろうか。なんかちょっと、どんどん壊れていってる。どんどん壊れていってる。なんか向こうもなんかちょっと一瞬おかしくなってたもんね。もう一回。ダメか。もう何も起きない。開けろ。あ、こんばんは。セーフさんも来てくれた。まあじゃあちょっと仕方ないね。こっち側行くしかないわ。もう、まだ戻る余地を与えてくれるというのか。でも、もう、なんもないね。いや、これ階段になってたりしない？これ。無理？なんか抜けれたりしない？ないね。もうね、こういう登れる段差とか見つけちゃうとね、こういうゲームだとすぐバグがないか探したくなっちゃうんだよ。はい、会議室に来たよ。もう会議室もちょっとおかしいことになってるよ。やっぱりあなたは信じることはできない。あなたが私の物語を、作品を大切にしたのです。そこから何を言ったのですか？やっぱこういうものを見つけないとさ、ゲームは。これ階段になってんね。登れる？こっちか。いや、うまく上がれないようになってるか。めちゃめちゃ困ってるよ。かわいそう。あ、おう。アウトラストみたいな。確かに。おう。ホラーゲームじゃないって言ったじゃないか。音でかいな。ちょっと待ってね。ちょっとだけ音量いじらせてくれ。音でかい。よし。ナレーションが小さくなっちゃった。マスター下げちゃったから。交換音量下げればいい。80くらいでいいか？うん。私のゲームは全て破壊されました。それは私の世界で唯一のものだったのにあなたがダメにしたのです。面白いと思ったんですか？見てるだけで。アンリーのようにいることがどれだけ重要かあなたに正直ませんでした。彼は、早い。なんかめっちゃいい理由があるんだと理解してるのです。なんかめっちゃ思いもしなかったでしょ。あなたはほんの子供なんです。まあ、さっきの1周目のルートだよな。それは完璧なはずだったので一生懸命作ったのに頑張ったのに。戻された。なんかね、まあ多分、このナレーションの人は、あれかな、開発者的な、あれなのかな？はい。左側のドアに入っ だが断る。残念。
No! Why did you
あ、
do
同
that?
じか
Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly
同じじゃないな。
and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right.
はい。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
どこまで耐えてくれんだ、こいつは。何も言わないじゃん。
No!
あ、
Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
もう限界か
Behave exactly as Stanley
もう
would.
限界か
That means choosing responsibly.
この後どうしてほしいかみたいなやつがあれば、こういうルート行ってほしいとかあれば、残してもらえるとコメントに。これをやるよ。まあちょっとさすがに、右に行っても多分繰り返しそうだから、左行こう。はいはいはい。会議室に着いたよ。会議室もやれることないから進んでいって、あ、ここも分岐だ。あれさっきここ下行けなかったっけ？さっきここ下に行く階段あったと思うんだけど。行けなくなってるわ。はいはい。じゃあ。開かない。なんかやれることない？変わってんだけど。上司の部屋が変わってる。マネージャーのオフィスか。
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
はい。バカタレ。開くわけじゃないね。あ、
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver right there on the wall.
はい。これ何
？I'm sorry, is there a problem?
問題ある。
Please speak the code into the
あ、
receiver.
何読まなきゃいけないってこと本当に。もう一回教えて。なんだっけナイトシャーク155って言った？やる気ないって言われても教えても機会。ちょっとなんか怒られてんだけどなんか怒られてんだけどおー、おうなんか神様視点になったんだけどお前そんな顔してたの？ああ、もうスタンリー中身抜けちゃったから。なんかめちゃめちゃ怒られたね。ザエンド。ザエンドってね。クレジット流れ始めちゃった。これってさ、多分でもこれ多分メタ的なエンドだと思うんだけどさ、これもしかしたらこれヒントなのかな？そこの扉の前で放置するっていう。なんかしてよ。でもいいからさ。すごい、本当に日本語訳の人が面白い。ああ、これユニティで作られてんだね。
You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
ごめんね、リロイ。
That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's
ごめんね、リロイ。リロイとは、彼女か？
Take as much time as you need.
これは、進んだ。で、ここに戻ると。まあちょっとね、もてあそびすぎたね。あれ、さ、マイク使う？もしかして。オーディオ、コントロール。ビデオは違うもんね。マイク使うのかな？いや、まあ、いいんだけど別に。まあさっきのはなんかなんて言ってたのか、なんて言うべきなのかね。あ、はいはい。There is no game。なんか聞いたことあるような気がする。なんかあんま知らないけど。それもメタ的なゲームなのかな？さて、来たよ。まあ、じゃあ左行って、進んでいって、さっきさ、一周目の時は上に行かないで、そのまま下に行ける階段があったような気がするんだよな。ほれ、下行ける、下行くぜ。地面めり込まないかなーって。スタンリーはどうしてもできなかった。場を離れたことで、まあ職場を離れちゃったのが、まあ詰められるかもしんねえからいけねえやっていう解釈ね。大丈夫か？こんなところ入って大丈夫か？うん。自分は狂ってしまったのかもしれない。世界に消滅してしまったなんて。
None of it made any logical sense.
うん。
And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
いろんなことに気づきました。
Why couldn't he see his
確かにね。
feet when he looked down? Why did doors
な
close
ぜ彼の行く先々で背後のドア自動で閉まるのか。
And for that matter, these rooms were starting
かな
to
り、
look pretty familiar. Were they simply
何繰り返しているのか。
No, Stanley said to
スタ
himself.
ンリーは自分自身に言った。
This
そんなのお
is
か
all
し
strange.
すぎる。こんな現実なわけがない。
And at last,
そしてついに結論が喉の奥までかかっていました。ただそれを表す言葉が見つけられなかったです。夢だ。これは全部夢なんだ。うん。あれ？ループが始まってる。うん。ダメか。あれ？知らない部屋に来た。てかここの廊下もなんか変わってるもんね。うん。なんか背が高くおお宇宙に来た。
And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
明晰夢ってこ
Why
と？
is there a voice in my head dictating
ナレーションに
every
ついてとうとう触れ始めたよ。
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley.
実況している。
Who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming
考え実況する声がどうやって私の考え実況しているのか考えている声の夢を見ているのだ。
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that of
これは
course
夢ではないということでしかなぜそうなるのでしょうか。
was Stanley simply deceiving himself,
も
believing that
し
if he
仮に寝ている
succeeded
としたら責任を取らなくていいと信じていたのでしょうか。
Stanley is as
ラ
awake
リー
right
は
now.
今彼の人生の中で一番目が覚めている状態なのです。
Now hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
今そのセリフを聞いて、
He knew for certain beyond a doubt that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just...
どうしよ
He would
う。ど
prove
うしよ
he
う。
would
あれもう
prove
ずっと
that
なんか
he was
夢だ、
in
夢じゃ
control,
ないって言って
that
る。
this was a dream.
全然頭に入ってこない。
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of
ひん
the
やりしたブランケッ
blanket
トを
on
鼻
his
に感じ、背中にマッ
the
トレスの
press
圧
of
力
the
を感じま
mattress
し
on
た。
his back, the fresh air of a world
外の世界の
as
新
distant
鮮な
as
空気。外の世
one.
界
Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream.
の夢はもうおしまい。もう終わりにしてくれ。
Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
外に戻らせてボタンを押し続けさせてくれ。お願いだ。
I want
それ
my
だけでいいから。
apartment and my wife.
あれ、彼女じゃなくて妻に昇格してる。
All I want is my life
ただ今まで
exactly
通り
as it
の
would
生活がした
be.
いだけなんだ。
My life is normal.
私の人生は普通。私は普通。すべてうまくいく。
Everything will be fine. I am.
私は大丈夫だ。残念。あれそうだよね。
Stanley began
サンリー発
screaming.
狂しちゃった。
Please, someone wake
誰
me
か起
up.
こ
My
してく
name
れ。
is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just
あ、
someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
真っ暗になりました。難しいよ、話が。
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
マリエラ
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose,
また知らない人が出てきたんだ
gathered
けど。
her belongings,
マリエ
and
ラ
went to her place of work.
マリエラじゃない、スタン
But
リ
on
ー。
this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself,
え
then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance,
スタンリー
just
死
a
ん
few
だ。
brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much
狂
she
ってる。
knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like.
階段降りただけでこんなでエンディング迎えるの。
How lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real.
私は何が現実で何がそうでないか分かっている。この男と出会ってある意味いい気分になったのです。そしてその日、彼女はその日関係があることを思い出しました。おやおやおやおや。スタンリーと同じ道を歩もうとしている。さらには彼女には時間がなかったので、上下体を見下ろしたのはほんの一瞬でした。そして彼女は振り返り走り去りました。これ現実にちょっとありそうな話だよね。まあ狂ってるかどうかの点は置いておいて、実際になんかあってもさ、なんか面倒だからっつって逃げる人もいそうだよね。だって全員いなくなってしまったのです。また最初に帰ってきたね。よし、まあまあまあまあ。あ、あれなんかモニターが点灯してる場所が変わったね。ああ、いいや。多分、周回要素だから、いつか回収しよう。まあまあ、なんか今のところできそうな要素は、とりあえずこのまま上に上がって、でも多分さ、こういうさ、絶対こういうのさ、読んだ方がいいんだよな。うん。英語読めないんだよ。俺、勉強しないとね、ほんと。行きます。で、これがやっぱ1周目の部屋はこうだったんよ。さっき緑の部屋に連れてかれたけど。人の気配がなんか悪さできない、こういうところでは。間違った。うん、なんか違うこと言ってる。あ、キーパッド。キーパッド、彼の足元には
and so the boss had
秘
assigned
密
it
の
an
番号
extra secret pin number.
2845。まあ結局そうなるよね。
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
これ間違いまくったらどうなんだろう。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the
知らない。
combination was 2845.
このままこれ本当に知りませんってやったらどうなんだろう。
2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency
緊
override
急自動
kicked in,
制御
and the
を
door
勝手に
just
開い
opened
え
all by itself.
何それは。
Stanley got the hell along with the story.
えらいこっちゃ。そこが開くの？あれさっきもここだったっけ？あ、ここだったか。なんか勝手に開いちゃったね。えらいこっちゃだって。じゃあ、上行こう。明日行っちゃった。水飲もう。ずっと喋ってる。口乾く。よっしゃ。これもう一回いける？
Whoops. No.
スタンリーは実際に
Stanley
エレベーターに
actually
戻っ
got back
て
into the elevator and
上
went
に行ったんだ
back
ったわ。
down.
私だったら。
Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
どうなっちゃうの？結局あそこに戻るの？なんか変化はない？
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the
本当に？
elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that
パスワード違うって言われてる。
storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other,
逆走してきたから
tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow.
逆に打ったり。
I'm
ダメ
bolted
か。
to the edge of my seat.
ダメだね。進むしかないか。まあでもなんかあるんだろうな。戻れるならなんかあるんだろうな。まあ、ヒントがないとやりようもないし。また下に行くのですか？下に行かなくてよかったの？またって言われた。行かなくてもよかったの？まあ進んでいきますよ。マインドコントロール施設。じゃあな。エスケープだって。この通路終わりでの終わりで非業の死？非業？後ろのドアは閉まってないから引き返すチャンスがあったようです。あ、引き返さん。脱出を信じるしかない。その時は意識的に進もうと努力していました。そして自ら己の死に直面するのです。何ですかそれは。何ですか？この隙間。よーし。これホラーゲームだったらここ助かるやつ。なんだって、生きてるわ。スタンリーの終わりへと、そんな
memories, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence
自分の人生には何もなかったなと思いました。スタリーは全体像、この物語の真実を物語る知らず、この何なのかという。ああ、早い。早いよ。
So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
ああ、さらば。さらば。お
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator.
さらば、スタンリ
Stanley
ー。
was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was
あなたは
obliterated as the
あれ
machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
おう。なんか、お。嫌だ。エンディングを迎えたくない。まだ何かあるはず。まだ何かあるだろう。こことか。落ちない。もう、デカデカとタイトルがあるのは、エンディングじゃないの。ならば。
And yet it would be just a few
それでも
minutes
数分後、スタンリーはこのゲームを
before
再開し、
Stanley
相
would
変わらず
restart
元気にオ
the
フィ
game
スに
back in
戻
his
ってくるので
office
す。
as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think
ナ
he
レー
was
ターは
going to
彼が一
accomplish?
体何を成し遂げようと。うん。うん。あ、いや、壁あるな。お落ちたよ。おいや、落ちてはいない。どこここ。ああ。なるほど。まあ、じゃあ行くしかないか。
When every
Oh.
path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead?
これも
from the
だいぶ
moment
メ
he
タ
hit
エンドだ
start?
ね。風景が。実際に出て、あ、でも、壁にあったね、これ。スタンリーのパソコン。プレイアウト。この青写真ブループリントってこと？青写真っていうの？このゲームの開始時のオフィスの様子が見られます。青写真って上から見た写真とかそういうことを言うのちょっとあまり知らない言葉。翻訳ミスじゃない？このゲームで設計された最初の部分です。開発の間、追加変更されましたが、核となるレイアウトは最初と同じものです。まあでもこの日本語訳の人めちゃめちゃなんかしっかりしてるからミスじゃないか。この、冒頭部分のテンポが重要で、この廊下を動かしたり変更してプレイヤーがいいタイミングで廊下を動かしたり変更して。ああ、そういうことなんだ。物理的に動いてるってこと？廊下。すごっ。ここ扉がある場所だよね。最初の二択の。この先の廊下物理的に動かしてるってこと？飛ぶ棚？飛ぶ？オフィスのパソコン。全部消せる。クレジットくらいのナレーター。そう、2013年のね、リメイクだから、当時のクレジットも書いてあるんだ。ボタンの音。キーボード、シンセサイザー、ミックスして作られています。確かにシンセにありそうな音だね。これ、あれ？あ、この音とか特にありそう。ね、資料室みたいな、資料館か。海外のゲームって結構こういうスペース作ってくれるゲーム多いよね。多いのかな？多いかはわかんないけど、なんか知ってるものが多いな。どこに進むのが正解？あっちにも道あるんだよな。メンテナンスルーム。こんなところ来た？こんなとこ来てなくない？ なんか、まあ、この先見るであろうものが結構あるんだろうけど、ファンだって。バックルームラウンジの初期バージョン。あ、お、爆発するどういうこと？電話に出るまでの、前のバージョンでは、15秒電話に出ないと違うエンディングです。さっきも15秒も経つ間もなく、電話線を引っこ抜くっていう行動に出てしまったわけなんだけど。で、何なんだ一体どうしたらおリツイート見えない。ゼンディングモデル。ゼンディング4番目のバージョン。ゼンディングってなんだ？あんまり詳しくない。ゲーム用語にゼンディングなんてものある？モニタール。カウントダウンディスク。カウントダウンエンド。カウントダウンエンドっていうものもあるんだ。フリーダムエンド。これが一番最初のエンディング。あんま、今の段階でこまごま見ていってもしょうがないよな。何笑ってんだよ。なんか、照明が変わった。あれ、ゲーム強制的に落とすのはやめてね。ゲーム強制的に落とすなよ。別にデスクトップ映ることないけど。わからんな。どうなる？おなんかまた失敗する前にスケープと終了してこういうことでしょ。まあ今はすごいメタ的な話をしてるわけだよね。でもいいからそうしてよ。どうしようかなどうしようかな。このまま進んだらどうなるんだろう。ブシュスタンリーは死んでもプロコは死ぬことがないという。ここに帰ってくるんだ。まあでもだってゲーム終了してもメインメニューに戻るだけだからいいよね。もうどうしようもないよね、このエンディングはね。さて。あれ？この話をどれ？続いてるぞ、話が。やめなくてよかった。自分が潰されたことを笑い話にしようと友達に報告しに行くんだって。あれ？右行くよ。今1回目の死を経験したわけだ、スタンリーは。じゃあこのままこっち側向いてないね。スタンリーはこのまま2度死ぬ。どうなる？グッジョブスタンリー。みんながあなたとてもパワフルだと思っていますよ。どうなる？そのまんまだ。 もしかしたら別の選択肢もあったかもしれない。このまま、なんだろうね。一度潰された後の話を飛び降りないで進んだかもしれないね。どうしよっかな。まあまあまあ、でも今多分こっちの方がやれること多いよね。
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to
まあどん
get
どん
back to
どんどん
business,
進んでいくよ。
Stanley took the first open door on his
じゃあ
left.
左行こ
And so he detoured
メン
through
テ
the
ナンス装備を迂
maintenance
回
section,
し、
walked straight ahead to the
正しい
opposite
ル
door, and
ートに
got
戻
back
っ
on track.
てきた。ああ、閉じてる。これ左に入ったルートに来ちゃった。なるほど。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling
このま
a
ま
wave
進
of
んでいっ
disbelief,
て、
Stanley decided to go up to his
下に
boss's
行っちゃう
office.
と、もうなんか、
Up the staircase,
無限
Stanley
ループ
walked
始まっちゃう
upstairs
から
to his boss's
上行こう。
office.
これどうなってる？ああ、ここに、結局こうなるんだ。
The moment
じゃあ
he
ま
entered his manager's office,
あ、今
Stanley
回は
froze
素直
in
に
his
行こう
tracks.
か。
Not a living soul anywhere. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the
はい。
story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute
1
to
分たり
just
とも
let
慣れ
the
間に話させようと
narrator
しませんで
talk.
した。
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
はい。あんま急ぐなよって言われてる。いいよ、進ませてくれ。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley
あー、挟まりたかった。
into the opened passageway.
はい。じゃあ行こう。じゃあ今回はまっすぐ。はい。でまあ、この辺は何らかのヒントになってはいるんだろうけどね。正直攻略とか見ずにこの辺の謎解きいけるかは怪しいな。よし。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's
こういうなんつうんだろう、このなんか明らかにエラーみたいな書いてるような画面とかそういうのがさ、ああいうのとか何かしらの番号がヒントにはなってんのかな。なんか高いところとかも逃げたりすんのだろうか。こういった後にこのルートを踏んだ後じゃないといけないルートとかあったりするのかな。
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept
上っつってたのは
in someone else's
いや
control.
違う
It was unthinkable.
もう通り過ぎてる。
Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? 進める。 But here was the proof. The heart of the
オペレー
operation.
ション中心。
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working.
エラっぽい表示の部屋に行けはしないのかな。行けなさそうではあるけど、どっかの数字入力する場所で使ったりはするかもしれない。この数字のボタンを押す。 押したいんだけどさ、4番目だけは階段が上がれないんだよな。うん。あれ一応押せたさっき。まあいいや。いい。プブブってだよね。これもうボタンの順番とかあるのかな。わけわかんないな。どうしよう。今やれること、あと他に何かあるか。このフロア、暗すぎてな。あ、そうだ。ここをオンにするかオフにするかみたいなのもあったわ。なんだろう。ここをオンにしたらファンに飛ばされたりするかな。はい。はい、オン。起動しちゃった。何年のあなたが自分のために。ああ。ローディングマインドコントロールシステム。機械ができることには限りがある。逃げろ逃げろ。
If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this person.
このオンにした状態で何かできることはありますか？緊急爆破システム。緊急爆破システム。
Nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then?
どれくらいある？
Let's say
2分。おう。明るくなった。開いてる開いてる。
Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is.
でもあと5を押せばいけるでしょ。最悪最初の1、2、3がさ、なんかうまくいってないってなったとしても、まあ大丈夫大丈夫。同僚の場所、まあ一応気になりはしてる。どう？あれ？ダメだって。もう一回1、2、3、4、5でやってみる？ん？あ、はい。え？はい。1。
That was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then die.
どういうこと？
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Murasaki.
This version of events has been rather amusing.
あー、なるほどね。はい。あ？緑と5ってこと？あー、もうこれは2分じゃ無理ね。あ、今なんかいい音した。いい音しました？いい音してないですね。緑を5回押せってこと？どうもしないよ。わかんないわかんない。この部屋で何かと、そうじゃないの？めちゃめちゃ走り回ってるよ。
Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Problem solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're playing.
特別何かできるわけじゃないな。
This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. but I'm going to destroy it first. So you
まああと30秒じゃ厳しいわな。
take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's
グッドバイ。
30 seconds you have left.
死にな。
30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown.
死になってか、スタンリーの部屋の番号が死にななのか。
Or will you let it go peacefully?
あーバイバイ。あーもうなんかもう間に合わんよ、死になって言われてる。
Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at
じゃあ
the second of your inevitable life from the moment we
そ
see
この橋の上行けないからまあいいや、ここで。ボフ。どうなっちゃうの？ああ、はいはいはい。死にな。飛ぶ箱ってこれ？まあいいや、ちょっと、なんか変わってる？
all of this code
ああ、何も変わってないね。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
じゃあ
Perhaps he had
次
sent
は
us a memo.
あの電話に出てみる？電話に出るルート。
Oh,
何これ？
new content?
ニューコン
What
テ
does
ン
that
ツ。
mean? New content.
ニューコンテンツ。何これ？ニューコンテンツって本当に本作の新要素ってこと？
Hello, and thank you for
Oh.
playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home
そうだね。
computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
おめでとうございます。
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting
というかこのゲームが2013年のゲームっていうね。
delighting audiences the world over.
2013年ってもう
Step inside and see what thrilling
10年前だもん
adventures
ね。
await
そのまんまだ
the
もん。
Stanley Parable.
10年前だってよ。
Oh, well, this sounds delightful.
まだ10
I'm
歳
very
だ
excited
ぜ
to。see the thrilling new ultra deluxe content.
別に年隠してないけど。まだ10歳だぜ。
Okay, so
怖え
far
よ。
it's nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
これ何？どうなる？
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, here we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content.
やろうぜ。
I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious.
まあ、
It's as if them...
好みは分かれそうだよね、これは。
Give me the content, Stanley.
コンテンツちょうだいよ。ずいぶん簡素。
All right, let's see.
ジャンプサーク。
The jump circle?
めちゃめちゃあれじゃん。分かる人には分かるこのテキストね。ユニティの何の設定もしてないテキストだ。血がボケてる。これこのまま出たらまたなんか変わんのかな。今回は普通にジャンプしよう。なんかご褒美は、あ。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
これ、ミスったかもしんね。これさ、多分さ、サークル内でしかジャンプできないわけじゃなくて、サークルに入ったらジャンプの回数が付与されて、この先でジャンプ使える場所をその回数以内で抜けてねってことなんじゃないの？この次のエリアになったらリセットされっかな、それも。どうなんだろう。もしかしたら外でもジャンプできたのかもしれない。
Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content,
コンテンツちょうだいよ。
just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there.
20時間分の新コンテンツがある。とんでもないぞ。
Put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
10時間を超える新コンテンツとしていい。まだある。このゲーム確かね、なんかね、4年放置してから起動するみたいなやつもあんだよね、確か。あおう、読み込み。おうん。Thank you for enjoying the new content.
You've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievements, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation
まあ
around
新
the
コンテン
content,
ツ
I'm afraid.
ま
It
あ
could never have lived up to such expectations.
旧作の方のコンテンツはまだ反応しきってないです。
And we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
このナレーションかわいいよな。おう。で。どうなる？最初に戻されるのもしかして。どこよ、ここは。I hate Monday. 月曜が嫌いだっつって。
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
勝手にかかんだ。はいはい。今回このナレーションかわいいからこっち行ってあげよう。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe
Ultra
content turned
Deluxe
out to
の
be,
コン
but
テン
it
ツ
got
か。
me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret.
はいよ。
Take a look.
なんか別ゲー始まりそうな場所に来ちゃったけど。
I call it the
Memory
Memory
Zone.
Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want.
ほーん。
Experiences
PC
like the
版
launch of the
発
Stanley
売。
Parable on PC.
メモリーゾーン。
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release?
あ、もう本当にこういうパッケージで売られてたってこと？まあ、さすがに発売元のロゴは隠すんだね、ぼかして。こうやって売られてたんだ。スタンリーパラブルを忘れるな。これストアページ？当時のスチームのストアページ？ああ、賞も取ったんだ。全然知らない賞だけどね。チームスなのかな？いや、タイムズだね。チームじゃないね。最後 S？ ちょっと筆記体読めねえ。 これは Firefox。普通のブラウザの方のオリジナルリメイク。リメイク、ウルトラデラックスの前にもあったってこと？ 20 時13分。これもなんかのヒント？違うわ。2013だわ。ザ・グレイテスト。わかんない。ウォールじゃないもん。英語弱すぎる。ちょっとマジで簡単な英語なんだろうけど、悲しくなる。マイル、because it happened. トリップダウンメモリーレーン。何ですか？何ですか？デーモンステーション。そんな、何なんか別ゲーってこと？実績？ちょっとマジで英語ガンザコバレるからマジでそんなに。これもしかしてエンディングリストってこと？ニュービデオゲームリリーシングトゥデイ。これは独自のそういう新聞か？これもしかしてベータ版とかそういうのもこの当時の画像をそのまま使ってんのかな？まだある。こういうゲームの歴史とか振り返るのめちゃめちゃ好きなんだけど。これはあれでしょ？リトル・スタンリー。もしかしてこの開発者が飼ってたハムスターっぽい、モルモットではないね。がスタンリーって名前だったんじゃないの？めっちゃ愛あるじゃん。そういう話すごい聞くんだよな。サウナ。
And over here is where I keep reviews of
レ
the
ビューを保
Stanley
存してい
Parable.
ます。
Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote,
今
"There
で
are so
言
many
う
games
メ
that
タクリティッ
aspiredly
ク的な
morbid
や
games
つ？
end up less than any form of art. Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever
10点
created."
中10点だっ
Did you
て。
hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was
そん
literally
な、
every
うん
game ever
スカイリ
created.
ム、ペ
It
ルソ
was
ナ3。
Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's
そん
nothing.
な、なんかがっ
It's
つ
no
り名
games
前
at
出
all.
していいんだ。
It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
もしか、このルート1時間かかるってこと？巡るのに。えらいこっちゃ。まあでもこういうの見て回るの好きだから、全然苦じゃないね。これは、パーソン・オブ・ザ・イヤー。開発画面。これなんだこれ。何の、モデリングのソフトだろうけど、なんだろうね。入っていい？これヒントじゃない？ Knowing Your City。全然ヒントじゃなさそうだな。あ、ファンのボタン。 マックもちょっとリンゴのマークにならないようにしてある。The end is never。なんだろう、全エンディング回収するとこうなってたってこと？前のやつは。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone.To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
ん？あ、なんか開いた。だ。なんたらルーム。なんぞ。でも入れないもんね。まあいいか。これさ、2013ってことだろうけどさ、当時ってテクスチャもディスクで売ってたの？全然そんなもん知らなかった。まあ確かになんかさ、お店でこういうやつなんかもめちゃめちゃ並んでる場所はあったけど、テクスチャとかもこうやって入れてたの当時。怖っ。I like walk. I just hate my boss. ってことは好きだけど、上司は嫌いだ。あれ？どこに行くんだじゃあ。なんか持ってるものとかあってすんの？あれ？引き返せってこと？はい。
These were simpler times,
あ、はい。
But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all
もう一度やり直さないね。ということだって何もできないじゃないですか。下に行けってこと？あ、開いた。
Wait,
待って。
I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
何があるんですか？衰退ですか？スタンリーの衰退ですか？スチームのコンテナがある。これあれでしょ？販売が終わったってことでしょ？オンラインゲーム配信のスチーム販売レビュー集ですよ。めちゃめちゃメタ的な本当話があってすごい面白いな。はい、行こう行こう。
I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating.
今のところ面白いけどね。
Unfunny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I can write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a dense profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
あー、重たくなってきた。まあね、そうだよね。昔のゲームだからね。でもそれでももうもっと昔のゲームとかまだ売ってるんだしな。まあでも、そうだよな。ブルドッグ。めちゃめちゃ低評価ついてる。あ、よかったじゃん。まだまだあるよ、高評価。読めないけど。はい。
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I?
めちゃめちゃ怒られて
Tell me
さ
if
っ
I'm
き。
preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh goodness, this is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I have always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it. Well,
裸スカーフ。
but
ヌ
maybe
ヌードル麺あれ
what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
実際にあったレビューってことだよね、多分ね。
Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
通れるわけじゃない。おい、なんか。なんだ。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes.
ま
Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only
None.
positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto, and it's always been my motto. I do anything for the customers.
なんだ。
Yes, a skip button we shall have.
ああ、スキップボタン導入された。ちなみにああ、まあ進めない。じゃあスキップボタン押そうか。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley
じゃあ
Parable
早速
is
は
a
い。
game. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few
なんか固まっ
minutes,
てたん
but
で
it
す
was
よ。
plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to
これ
describe
は
it, I'd say it was
ほい
perhaps... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the
まあでも
button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go.
まあかわいそう
It's
に。
all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9
そうだね、
will
クッキー
say
9
of this,
気になる
and
ね。
whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't
クッキ
even
ー
know
9
if
さっ
one
きの
can change
スキッ
their
プボ
rating
タンが
in the first
のレ
place.
ビュ
I
ー
guess
を書いた
I
人
should
だ
become
ね。
better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit.
Steam でレビュー書いたことないけど、レビューの編集できないんだ。
Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely used. No, I would even be
これもうもう一回飛ばしてって言ってるようなもんだよな、
so that
この
it leads
話。
to something more
はい。
beneficial. Okay, welcome back,
ただい
Stanley.
ま。
Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer.
あ、そうなんだ
That。last one was
どんどん話長く
I
し
want to say maybe
今の話もしかして45分も話聞いてたってこと
unendurable
飛ばさない
for
と
me, but it's- well, there's really only
本
so
当
much I can ramble on to myself about. I know it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do
あ、もう扉も消され
not
てる。
press the
はい。
button again. I think the skip
う
button
ん
has、
ま
been
あ証明されました
aptly
し。
demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and
う
just
ん。
wait.
どうやって出るの
Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite
ありましたね。
one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't
あなたが作ったんでしょ、この部屋。
without a door of some sort or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall?
ないないない。
I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move
ま
on.
あ、あと移動できるかもしれないのここくらいでしょ。
To go anywhere other than the skip
まあ、はい。
There wasn't a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram
どっか
your
抜
way
けれる場
through
所ある
the
もしかして。
hallways? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to...
ダッシュ機能がないんで
Please,
す
I'll
よ。
take any option at all. I'm asking you to
協
work.
力も何もだから、
We
そう
need a
必要
door.
必要
We。need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door.
はい
I
はい。
don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way.
頑張れ。
I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press.
今押そうとした。
Please do not
今押そうとしたよ。君がボタンを、ドアを探す間。
and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes.
はい、オッケー。
I'll be right back.
はいよ。これ本当に待ってみたらどうなんだろう。これ多分今だ多分押せよってやってるわけじゃん。これどうしよう。1分待って何も起きなかったら押すわ。でもこの場合1分どころじゃ済まないんだろうな。早くしてくれ。どうすんだよ。早くしないと押すぞ。ダメだね。押すね。
Stanley, Stanley,
And,
please don't push the
12
button again.
時間。
It's 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls.
12時間経ったって
And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep
今あなたじゃなくてあたなって書いてなかった。
I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I... Oh, Stanley.
あ、照明が。
You're back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk
あ
to
れ
again. Stanley, I
あ、1週間
think it's been a week
1週間
or 2 weeks. I've been
いや、
sitting here
なんかもう枯れてるし
just sitting here, not a single person to speak
なんか
and you
かわい
think
そう
that that's just how
ナレーションかわいそうになってきたんだけど
me talking, you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always?
ナレーション切れるか
Doesn't that feel like
ナ
what
レーション切れるか
we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the
隙間あるぞ
vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need and...
あ
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome.
戻ってきたよ
I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through.
あ、もう何も残ってない
So much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved
1年
for
経
an
った
entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to
めっ
undo
ちゃかわいそうじゃん
And when that feeling had begun to subside,
キモ
what took its
Chi.
place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant,
Oh?
I could see myself
Hmm.
clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow.
生きてるか？大丈夫か？あ、ゲーム落ちてるし。やだ、この、火災報知器。
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much. They said, first he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequence.
お、ボタンが押せなくなった。いや、押せるようになった。なんかピチャピチャ言ってるんだけど。どっか出れる？水通ってる音するんだけど。ここの外は川だったからってだけ？まあ。いつまでこれが続くんだ
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
あ、なんか、すごいことになってる。
is never the end, 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 is never the end.
どうなっちゃうの？ああ、どんどん雨漏りが増えてるけど。沈んでってる？そんなことないよね。沈んでたらもっとすごいことになるもんな。あ、どれだけ経ったんだ。どれだけ経ったんだよ。ホラーゲーム始まった？お。外だぞ。出れないけど。お、鳥の鳴き声のアセット。どれだけ時間が経ったのよ。待って。よしよし。あれ、なんかまたダメになってる。どうなっちゃうの？もうナレーターどうした？お何もなくなってる。あ、もう押せない。もう押せないわ。 だよ、これ何年経ったのよ。これが砂の惑星ちゃんですか。あ。えニューコンテンツ。これさ、さっきニューコンテンツがさ、1000時間とかなんか言ってたじゃない？ 1000 時間経ったってこと？ 1000 時間って何年だ？ 1000 時間ちょっと調べよう。1000時間何年？1000時間42日。全然何年も経ってない。あれ ?1000 兆時間とか言ってたんだっけ？ 1000 時間じゃないんだっけ？ 1000 兆時間って言ってたかもしれん。お？ネオンに。うん、気づいた気づいた。そう。またそっち行っちゃうの？まあなんか変わったんだろうな。そんなアピールしたんだから。お、さっきはこっち曲がってったもんね。乗るよ。どうなっちゃうの？
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley
はい。
parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra
ああ、
deluxe
続いてる
version
続いて
turned
る。
out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense.
じゃあ、ウ
I
ルトラ
say
スー
we
パーデ
take
ラッ
it
クス。
one step even further, which is why I'm very proud
こ
to
こで
announce
初めて
for
発
the
表するこ
first
と。
time ever the
はい。
Stanley parable 2.
2？ おう。おー、なんか、洒落た部屋に来
This, you
た。
see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
いいな、コーラ飲みたいな。おう、
Calling
随
it the
分飲んで
Stanley
ないな。
Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
ウルトラデラックスの方がキャッチーかもな。いや、
いや、
どう
どう
なだろう。
なんんだろう。
2、
2、
なんとも。ウ
ウ
ルトラデラックスはどうしてもリメイク感が出ちゃうね。2は新作って感じだけど。うん。Windows のカメラじゃねえ、フォト、アルバム。ん？なんだ？いいな。お？うん。まだリンゴは出てこない。リンゴは出せない。めちゃめちゃ、PT？ 別物だよな。2 doors。レイヤー。はいはい。めちゃめちゃ2で。めっちゃ2で。ナスのマグカップで。何？ズームして読めねえ。うん、やっぱ、うん、これが一番いいよね。うん。
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
誰が赤いマーカーペン持ってったとあ、すいた。うん、まあでもなんか、はい。This way to the show floor. はい。座れるわけではない。ニューコンテンツ。この中はニューコンテンツじゃないな。ニュー、まあ、フューチャーじゃないんだろうけど。何ですか？これなんかさ、まあ、はい。すごいいろいろあるように見えて、何もないな、この道、ずっと歩いてる場所。これあの赤ちゃん成長してる。これあれだね。なんか知ってる。やったことないけど、とんでもないエンディングがあんだよね、なんかね。このゲームをプレイしている人の名前を言うボタン。あボタンいや、ちょっとここの道はまだ行きたくない。どうしよう。どっから行こう。これは悩むね。普通に。ジャンプサークル、無限の穴。これはスタンリー。個人ね。おい。
I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
12年経ってんの？
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get well someday it is.
サムデイって休みってこと？出れる？つまりあれだよね。おめでとうより休みをくれってこと。そうだよな。誕生日の時ぐらい休み欲しかったよな。ヒップボタンではないのか。
And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people.
まあそうですね。
So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
うん。 チームのユーザーネームが出るということ？チームのユーザーネームが出るということ？ The that says the name of the player that is playing the game. はい。
Jim. Sorry, I
Jim.
should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really
ジム
simulate
に
the
な
full
れだって。
experience
もう
of
私
this
はスタンリーじゃないっ
feature. Just
て。
play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
はい。
I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
ジムです。私は。
Jim. Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again. Jim. It hits even harder the second time.
これ
If this were the
は
only
い。
new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth
いや
the
いや
money.
いやいや。
Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
誰が喜ぶのよ、それを。
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
まあまあまあ、じゃあちょっとこっち行こう。おー、誰だ？あれはスタンリー？イグジットには行きたくないけど、ここ扉ないから行き放題だね。よし。でだ。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait.
このさ、このゼロの文字さ、デフォルトでそのままサイズを大きくしたよね。ジャンプは？ジャンプ復活しないじゃん。なんだって、フリー、ニュー、イージー、アチーブメント。ああ。フリー実績。はい。フリー味。これシャッター降りるじゃん。レバーを下ろして。うん。
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test
What
achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement.
Right.
Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel. To at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you. And I promise it will happen.
無理ってこと？結局は。シャッター降りんのよ。よし。なんかできたのかもしれない。まだいろいろ見てないよ。無限の穴はまだ行かない。いや、行かない。コレクテンオール。何これは。
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
気持ち悪いな。6分の 1？ まだあんの？ はい。帰ってきた。あ、これ以上進まない。はい。
God, it really is the
これも
worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
こっちが出口なんだ。でもなんか素直に出口に進む気にはならんよな。インフィニティフォール。It won't end. これは終わりじゃない。あ？これは。これはさっきの場所だよね。うん、じゃあ行かなくていい。大丈夫？大丈夫？これ入っちゃって。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of.
はい。
It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right.
もうなんか心なしかスタンリーも早足だぞ。
You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games is a medium.
いいよ、じゃあ落ちてるのかどうかが分からなきゃ意味ないんだから。あ、落ちてる落ちてる。
Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
とりあえず、
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
これさ、そう言うってことはさ、やっぱそこあるってことなんじゃないの？
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the
ほ
hole.
ら、
Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an
極めて
extremely
深い穴。
I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
あ、
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole.
茶タバコとか捨て
Found
てあ
out,
る。
Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever.
あ、もうテレポートできない
My
し。
suspicion here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
いや、まだ耐えれるもん。
Look,
あの深さはまだ耐えれる
we
よ。
both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call
まあ
the
全
hole
然無限とは言えんよ。
infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to walk up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm
帰ってきた。
very excited to show you even more of my... Oh,
Oh.
for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the whole
今回
seem
短かっ
shorter
た。
to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite.
てかちゃんと2回目の反応用意してあるのいいね。
If you decide you've had enough of the hole,
何回までい
you
け
can
んのよ
hit
そ
the
れ。
teleport button and come join me up
はい。
the path. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about. And I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow.
どんどん浅くなってる。
I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite.
うん。
I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here?
まあちょっと、もうちょっと、そろそろ上に上げてくれ。
uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
どうせ次には長くなってんじゃない？おお。
My lies come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not him. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch.
助けて。
Who am I to
この
judge? You just
深さですら上がれないの
do
か。
what you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
はい。あ、もうここ地上認定されちゃってるじゃん。
Teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago.
もうちょっ
Try
と
it again.
もうちょっと穴が低くないと
Still nothing?
地下判定に触れてないんだっ
I
て。
suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this.
そうです。
I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You
消える
couldn't
ぞ。
bear to be away from the hole, and
床が
now
消える
you'll
ぞ。
get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole. I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I
はい、
hope
あれ
you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
今更だけど、右クリックすると勝手に前に進むな。これどこ行くんだ？お？何が始まるんです？お。まさか最初の時間をこの速度で、最初のあの距離をこの速度で下げるというのか。大丈夫。もう少し進んだら穴に入ったっていう判定に触れるようにいるんだろう。メタ的に考えるのであれば。何それ。じゃーんじゃないよ。何それ。めちゃめちゃ迫真なんだけど。スタンリーのご尊顔を拝めましたよ。認識を変える？なんなんだこのどれもこれもなんか癖があるな。おい。え？あ、そういうこと？あなた自身を変える。なんだそれ。死にな。おい、犬。かわいいじゃん。いいアングルないかな。あ、もういいよ、あなたは。おい。
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single
何
bit.
ですか？
So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
もう一回穴を折り始めんの？あら？少し前に戻してほしいな。どこまで戻されんのかな。素晴らしい。そう、ここに帰ってきたかったんよ。
Go on.
Nice.
Check out some of the new features.
そう、ここ行きたかったの、ここ。ここ行きたかった。エピローグ。セッティングワールドチャンピオン。ああ。セッティングワールド。飽きませんよ。あれなんかあいつ後ろ向いてんだけど。どうした？いや、回ってるだけかよ。ちなみに、コレクターズアイテムは復活したりはしてないね。そうだなぁ。もう一回ここ行ってみようか。まあ、あとは出口に行くだけだよな。一応全部回収した。いや。これはでも行けるわけじゃないか。本当に何もないの？ないね。うん。じゃあ、お疲れ様でした。じゃあ、この後はまあ、アーカイブ見てもらえたらかなり嬉しい。お疲れ様でした。まあ、あとは出口行こうか。通り見たもんね。もう0時過ぎてるし。よし、出口。というよりも思ってる以上にボリュームがすごいね、このゲー
Oh
ム。
goodness,
はい。
Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave,
バケツ
you
の
really
展示。
should go
バ
to
ケ
the
ツとは？
bucket exhibit.
おう。
You see, there's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the bucket. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the bucket, okay?
どこにあ
All
んの
right,
バ
I'll
ケ
get out of
ツ？
your hair now.
え？バケツの展示ってどこにあるの？まあでも邪魔しないって言われたから進むね。ちょっと怖いね。
You're just going to ignore my
だってバケ
advice?
ツの展示なんてどこにあるの？
No fun new content for you then. You're the one who spent money on this game.
使いましたよ。バケツの展示ってだってどこにあるの？教えてくれよ。バケツ。B2。B2。どうやって B2 行くの？行くよ、じゃあバケツ。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem of the game. It's the Stanley Parable reassurance bucket.
バケツが降りてき
You
た。
see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arm. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for
何なんだ
you
この部
than
屋。
actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
何笑ってんねん。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't
例え
they?
ば何ですか？
All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
戻れる。これ今はこのゲーム内でめちゃめちゃ2をネタとして扱ってるけど、実はちゃんと開発してるとかあるのかな？
That really should be an award if it isn't already.
まあ一通り見たよね。じゃあ出口行こうか。
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the well, we'll figure that out later.
もう一回このさ、セッティングワールドチャンピオン見に行きたい。空いてない？空いてないね。まあ一通り見たよ。満足か？何ですか？
What do you think? Do you like all of the new
まあ
features? Yes, I
穴
know
くらい
it's
っ
not
すね、
exactly
面白か
clear
った
yet
のは。
how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful
は
gameplay
い。
experience.
バケツ邪魔なんだけど。
Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
ん？
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
おー。 いいじゃないですか。いやいやいやいやいやいや、どうしようかな、どうしようかな。おー、この辺は特に、いやー、やりたくなる。めちゃめちゃ戻りてー。やめてーけど始めてあげよう。うん。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
風船あるよ。
427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room
何か変わってるのか
427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
あれなんか、今のところ、
And then one
ただ
day,
の
something
オープニングなんで、
very
あ、お、2、
something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would
ちゃ
never
んと、
quite forget.
ちゃんと始まったよ、
He had
2
been
が
at。his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
結局同
All
じ
of
じゃ
his
ないの
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
あれ
memo.
ニューコンテンツの場所まで行ってみるとりあえず。バケツ。
Stanley picked up the
イ
bucket.
ェーイ。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
どうなっちゃうの
Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight
何が
into
始
the
まっているん
opposite
だ
door.
一体。
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it?
なんだこ
The
こ。
broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley.
バケツを手放すな。
Don't hand over the bucket.
はい。
I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong.
じゃあ
This is
の
your bucket.
こ
This is
の
your companion
物
and
置は
lifelong friend.
このバケツの時にしか開かないってこと
No, we're getting into name calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk?
この時も
To
こ
a
こまで落ちた
staircase.
か。
Stanley and the bucket walked
はい。
upstairs to the
バケツと
boss's
ともに。
office.
なんだエグゼキューティブバスルーム。お
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to save
なんでこんな
each
不安そうな
and
顔
every
してんの
moment
この
you
ス
come
タンリーフ
across
ィ
one
ギ
of
ュ
these beautiful figurines.
ア。はい。Because the boss knows that what the boss song says goes if the boss ねこれ読めねえ読めねえよなんかボスはなんか知ってるぞみたいなこと言ってたけどはい
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket?
バケツが知っていたんだ
Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? What about
いいよ
Stanlerines?
いいよ
Yes,
そんな考えなくて
I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
しかしこれは2ではないな2である必要あるかこれ
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the
あれ
bucket.
なんか思ったより下行ってるぞ
Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right.
いやでも
The bucket is
結
here
局
for
こ
you,
こか
Stanley. Everything will be fine.
いや結局ここで
Stanley
こ
and
こ
the
か
bucket
うん
walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
Alright.
Mind Control Facility.
あ普通に迎えちゃっていいよねエンディングをね
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
この待機時間長いんだよな
What horrible secret this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
まあ、今回は普通にあれだねオフにして
The
進めちゃっていいよね
and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this.
バケツもびっくりだ
Burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
ナレーションが変わってバケツがいるだけなんだよな
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another.
なんかまあでも
For he
何度も
would
もうここ来るのも3回目だし喋ることないよ
best friends, Stanley and the
はい
bucket.
音でかい
Stanley and the bucket
う
waited
ん
in
バケツいるかちゃんと
Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived
バ
together,
ケツが見えた。
with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
ん
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped?
どうしたんで
Was
すか？
Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming
あ、ここ
presence
ごと折りはじ、
needed to
いや、閉じて
soothing
る。
warmth of the bucket. Gildedly relents not the power of the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
んどうなっちゃうんですか？どこだ？ DJ 君、頑張れ。なんだここ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
バケツ持っていいのこれ。バケツ持ってるうちはどうこうみたいに言ってたけど。バケツ持ってかなかったらどうなるんですか？置いてきちゃうよ、じゃあ。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
え何が始まるんです？ホラー系始まったか？なんて書いてあるのが読めない。読みたい。翻訳かけましょう。トラストだ。コンプレッションショニスト。完全主義者を信頼するインクトって読むの？完全主義者を信頼する本のこんなの書いてありました。こいつを探さなきゃいけないらしい。あと3体。おるか？
Stanley stepped into the broom
別
closet.
にこの
But
物
there
置
was
や。
nothing here, so he turned. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
おるか？おったー。レッドルームって書いてあるね。
And now I'm torn between Stanleys and Fitness. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
でもここを進んでしまうとまた無限ループ始まるから次はまたこっちで探すか。あそこのは取ったからでもこれバケツ連れてきてないからさ。なんか押さなくても進んだわ。バケツ持ってきてないからあっちのエンディングに進めてしまうともうループが切れてしまうんだわ。クリアになって。 はい。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
なんかどっちに行っても時間かかるな。どうしよう。どっちに行っても時間かかっちゃうんだよな。仕方ないね。
Of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
でもこれまあ、どうなっちゃうんだろう。2終わんない。この続編は一時停止中です。ちゃんと続編なんだもんな、今。あと2個どこにあるんだ？
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
というよりもこれいつまでやろうかな。なんかこの2が終わったタイミングで終了しよっかな。なんかこのゲーム切り上げどころが見当たらないね。
Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
まあでももうそろそろ3時間だもんね。
It was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine...
バケツ持ってきてないから終わっちゃうんじゃないのこれ。
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
どうなっちゃうんだ？
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go.
では手放すことだったんでしょうってバケツとの意味もかかってるのか。とりあえずバケツなしエンドだよ。これ。
Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
はい。どうなっちゃうんです。あ、はい。だからまだ2は終わらないようだ。バケツを連れて行こう。
And a wave of comfort, Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest And this was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
どっか開かないの？
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meat? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to... Good.
Said the bucket.
Now
これバ
ride
ケ
the
ツの
lift
指
all the
示
way
も
to
無
the
視して
top.
飛び降
There's
りたら
something
どうなっ
up
ちゃ
there
うん
I
だ。
need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or
Hi.
how this bucket was speaking to him. It should
まあ
have
でも
alarmed
バケ
him,
ツの
of
指
course,
示に
because
従おう
buckets
か。
can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over
こっ
here.
ちの暗い部屋
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
暗い部屋暗くないが全く。暗い部屋ああ、暗い部屋。これ電話にで、
Now pick up the phone.
はい。
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
アパート。エンドってやつだね。え？バケツ。H？ はい。
The
ああ、
Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't
なんか
literally talk and give you orders.
BGM がさっきから不穏なんだよな。
Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
バケツ。ベッド。
Lately, I've
That's
been
so.
concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
本題。Y。
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
なんかバケツが自我を持ち始めてるぞ。どこ？
You see, he's not listening.
あれ？
He's still taking orders.
これはゲームになってきたか？
You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
バケツとナレーションの喧嘩を始めてる。N。
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
知恵変えるために I。あれ？今まで何のボタンを押してきた？ H。HZ とかなんか順番なんか意味あったりするのこれ。はい。
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
K を押すと、この同じ費用を何度も繰り返せる。
this saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
家へ仕事へ、家へ仕事へ帰るためにピヨって、なんか怖くなってきてる。
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
めっちゃバケツになってる。あ、めちゃめちゃバケツだ。これはバケツ
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
はい。帰ってきた。帰ってきてよ。まだ続編は続く。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
バケ
Stanley
ツは
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
バケツでも何をするべきなんだ何すべきなんだ今。
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
バケツ何通りあるんだ本当に。
The meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the
バ
place
ケ
to
ツ
be.
一緒
And
に
here it was. Had the bucket
飛び降りよう
turned out to
ぜ。
be correct? Was this no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left. To go
できる限り今まで踏んできたルートをすべてバケツと共にしようかじゃ
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
あ。ごめん
The
バケ
cargo
ツ。
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
どうなった？まだ続く。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Warmth spread through
ケツ拾
Stanley's
っ
arms.
て
With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket
次は
tightly to
エ
his
スケート行
chest
く？なんかもう本当何したらいいかわからないな。なんかが進むのかどっか行ったら。やっぱこいつを探すしかないか。どこにあるんだろうか。ヒントをくれよ。あ、ラージ、広い部屋。どっかのボックスにある。バス、レッド、ブルー。ああ。違う、ボスだった、バスじゃない。レッド&ブルー。まあ。そんなものはどこに？
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
こっち行ってみる？ありますか？
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss.
ラージルー
He
ム。
left his post
ラー
during
ジルームは
work
この
hours,
先にはないので
like
は？
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
え
All because he believed
12B4
everyone had
え
vanished. His boss would think he was crazy.
いやーこれ
Something
は
occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he
そう
thought to
だ
himself,
な
maybe I am crazy.
次回だな
He looked down at the bucket
やる
in
と
his
したら
arms.
次
Am
回
I crazy?
いつやるかわからんけど
The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
配信外でやることはないねこ
Usually
れ
the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket
あ
close.
もう
yet
なくなっ
felt
て
none of
る
its
いやあるわ
familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might
あれバケツ
experience
なくなったんだ
without
け
the
どあれバケツなくなっちゃったんだけど
presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course,
あ
odd.
ーダメだよバ
Now
ケ
he
ツが
felt
なくなっ
himself
ちゃった
float
ら
off the ground. Oh,
浮いてる
he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I
バ
must
ケツが
find
ない
it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
どこにいるんだよ
Truly be. He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket
だ
after the next.
バケツ
None of them were his. None of them were his
どれも違う
special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity.
I get
And then
the-
suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from.
自分
The real bucket
彼
was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
んバケツを
This is
食
the
べたの
story of
お
a woman named Mariella.
マリエラ再びバケツかぶってたら面白い
Mariella
ぞ
woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed,
Those are
picked
the
up her
buckets.
bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and
やっぱり
screaming
こう
to
なってしまう
himself,
の
and then
か
collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
なんかいろいろとテンション狂ってるなで戻されるのかな終わりが見えねえ
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door,
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
広い部屋どこ
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
ここは取ったしあ今までここ開かなかったよ両方押せたけどなんちゅうえよま た新たなルートを発見してしまった。何なんだ。ナレーションも歌ってるよ。あ、止まった。え？何だったんだ。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
広い部屋って言ってたけど、広い部屋か。こっちのルートに進んだ上にあるっていうのは間違いないよな。広い部屋あるとすると、あっちのなんだっけ、マインドコントロールと、あとはエスケープの方のやつ。こっちまだ行ってないからもうこっち行くしかないよな。バケツと一緒にプレスされようか。
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to get crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
まだ生きてるぞ。ない？あれも。ないね。
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all
バケツなく
buckets
な
are
ったんだ
radiant
け
in
ど。
their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to
Buckets.
behold.
いやー、長いな。
Can you see
バケ
how
ツだ。
arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that
25個
blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
これバケツ。バケツに対する作り込みがとんでもないな。ええどういうことなの？反対側も見たいけど、とりあえず。
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
ストレスを発散するバケツってこと？I can fly. お
But there is something we can do.
Oh.
Something we can do together, you and I, that will
これは
right this
また
terrible
エスケ
wrong.
ープからやめる。
Let's Stanley die. Let him
あれ
be crushed by
スタンリーにしよ
Don't reset the game.
はい。
Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
潰れる音も違ったね。待って。ああ。
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time?
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
しかし、スタンリーのフィギュアはどこにあるんだ？広い部屋もうなくないか？
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
じゃあもうあと電話線抜くか。
No.
Said the bucket.
そういえばここ広い部屋だよね。
Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
どっかに
Go
ない
there.
か。
Go to the cargo lift.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It
もう
should
一
have
時過ぎ
alarmed
ちゃ
him,
っ
of
たよ。
course,
この
because
ゲーム
buckets
って
can't
セーブ機能
But
ある？
Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did
も
whatever
う
the
電話
bucket
線抜い
asked.
たエンド見たら終わってもいいんじゃないかって思ってるんだけど。
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly. Now pick up the... Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it, but there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look. What is
すごいな。
What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
参考になるな。
Good. This saying is a perfect example of
あ、今読む場所だ
expectations
ったってこ
management,
と？
which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally,
まあすまん。
it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even triple over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invaders who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
何なんだこれは。
Goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
はい。
This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley. The bucket spoke. The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Oh.
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need
長期化勘弁してくれ。
instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready?
おっす。
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already?
もう同じ。
Here we
おっ
go.
す。
You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
What? どうしようかな。
What? We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go. You
おっ
ready?
す。もういい
When
や。
Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open
眠いんだ。
doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley.
あれ
I'm going to be ridiculed.
フィギュアの話が。 フィギュアのくだりは
Every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison.
ついに終わったか。
Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame.
バケツね。バケツなんかマジで洗脳されてよ。バケツなんかちょっと、バケツ探しまくっちゃったもんね。
Pale with shame. Pale with shame. Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making
AI って書いてあったけど、AI 使ったってこと
I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
終わった？まあ、今回はここで終わろうかな。 オチがないよ。
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial
字幕が
outcome
消え
fell
た
under
し。
his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
何だったんだ。終わり？じゃあ、終わろうか。さすがに先が長すぎる。先が見えねえ。本当に疲れた。ただ面白かったな、なかなか。やっぱ、昔めちゃめちゃってほどでもないか、覚えてないんだけど、結構、やってる人いっぱいいたもんな。ちゃんと見てなかったけど。よし、また今度やろう。ちょっとね、まだ、なんか結構有名なエンディングとかあるはずなんだけど、そういうのまだ踏んでないものも結構あるから、そういうのをね、次回やろうか。もう、3時間やったよ。それにしてもバケツの話多いね。うん。まあ、次回もバケツと共に、新しいエンディングを回収しに行こう。よし、じゃあ、今回はここで終わって、明日は、一応スケジュール上は休む予定ではあるんだけど、もしかしたら、やるかもね。わからないな。ちょっと明日やるとしても何やるかわからないし、そもそもやるかはわからない。ちょっとその辺はツイッター上で報告が入ると思う。で、木曜日は、まあ何かしらホラーゲームやろうかなって思ってるんだけど、ホラーゲームをね、まずアンケートをツイッターで取ってるから、今のところね、バイオビレッジと、ソンド・オブ・ザ・フォレスト、ザ・フォレストの続編の2曲化してるから、そこがはっきりするといいかな。どっちでもいいからね、個人的には。ただ、フォレストの方は、一通りプレイ済みだけどねっていう。一通りプレイ済みだけど、更新が入っていろいろ要素が増えてるからそれがやりたい。って感じだ。よし、じゃあ終わろう。うん。とりあえず明日はお休みの予定ではあるけど、ちょっとまだわからないって感じだね。はい。じゃあ終わろう。3時間ね、ずっといてくれる方もいらっしゃってね、嬉しかったよ。じゃあ終わろう。よし、お疲れ様でした。